Hi, my name's Kate from White Light Temple, and I'm just here to share with you today my experience so far of this crazy time that we are finding ourselves in. And I have tried to do this video on 4 previous occasions, and I had technical issues each time that prevented me from uploading the video, and I realized it was a sign that I still had to work through and clear my own fear, transmute my own fear, before I came out and publicly shared anything, because my intention is to raise the vibration of people. My intention is to clear the fear. My intention is uh, to look for the silver lining in this event. And before I begin, I'd just like to take a moment to really honor those on the planet who have passed away this year, and those who are left behind grieving. You know, our TV screens are filled with numbers each day, and we tune into those numbers, but each number actually represents somebody's life, somebody's mother or father or brother or sister. You know, these are real people who are no longer with us, and that leaves a lot of grief for those family members, especially where you know, countries have forbidden funerals, and anyone who's diagnosed with coronavirus is not allowed to have loved ones in the hospital with them when they're dying. So most of these people have died alone, and so I just want to take a moment to really honor the transition that these people have made, and see them, you know, as people with a face and a family, not just a statistical number. So I'd like to share a little bit about my experience of this event. I was flying to London on the 25th of February, and was chatting to a man who said when he got home, his wife was insisting that he undress immediately at the front door, put his clothes in the machine and go and shower. And I looked at him and I said, well, you can live in fear, or, you know, you can live life. And I felt that his actions were a little over the top at that point in time. It wasn't too long until I turned and flipped on my belief. On the 2nd of March, I kissed my 10-year-old daughter goodnight. I actually had a really heavy feeling in my heart. I was due to fly out to work at 6 a.m. the next morning, and I laid with her for an extra long time, and gave her a massage as she fell asleep. And I told her how much I loved her, and I held her hand until she dozed off. I was expecting to be gone for a couple of weeks, but the universe had a different plan for me. So when I arrived at work, it was pretty obvious within a few days that someone in the house I was staying in was very unwell. The high fever, the dry cough, quickly followed by a second family member, and who was in the house, and also with the fever and the dry cough. After a few more days, so, you know, probably by this time nearly a week had gone by, and they visited the doctor, who laughed at them when they suggested coronavirus was a possibility, and didn't test them, sent one of them home with antibiotics, and that was it. And so, you know, another week went by, and it was really very concerning. By this point, I was convinced that we were dealing with coronavirus. A third person in the house had developed the cough, and because we got the doctor's clearance, we weren't taking the same level of precaution we otherwise could have been. I decided to cancel my flight home because I didn't know for sure if I had been in contact with COVID-19, and so I cancelled my flight. And a week after the first doctor's appointment, another doctor's appointment came by, and they decided to test, and yes, it was a positive result. So before this happened, I had actually fallen ill only for one day, no fever, but I had the cough and I felt terrible. I just wanted to curl up in a ball in bed, and it was really difficult to breathe. I couldn't take a deep breath. I knew in that moment that I needed to do something different, that I needed to deal with this in my way. I hadn't been to a doctor for 30 years for illness. I haven't taken any prescription medication for 30 years. I wasn't about to fall for this, because I knew what I needed to do for me personally, to transmute what was going on in my body, and I was able to do that. After the incubation period of the 14 days for me was over, I was planning to go back to see my family, and it was, at this point I found myself in lockdown. I found myself with flights cancelled. We had voluntarily pulled our daughter out of school, and my husband and daughter were self-isolating because we are overseas. We don't have family here, and if he were to fall sick, there is no one that we could comfortably call upon to care for our daughter. So they've been self-isolating now for a couple of weeks, with enough food for a month, so that they have zero intention of leaving the house or the yard for that period of time. And thankfully, I'm so thankful that we Skype every night, that they're healthy, they're well, and it's been a real challenge for me, with so many fears coming up to the surface. So first there was the fear of, what if I get sick? There was, even though I'm healthy and strong, it was still a fear. There was the fear of, what if I actually do carry this home and spread it and give it to my family, or give it to a stranger on a plane, or unknowingly. There was the fear of income. If either of us get sick, how is this going to affect our ability to work? It was the fear of, the huge fear for us was, if my husband got sick, who was going to look after my daughter, our daughter? And to the point where we've had to talk to her, and she knows if Daddy was to get a cough and a fever and needed some time in bed, she would need to make some meals for herself and look after the dog, and do the best she could. And she's taking this really well. She was really frustrated at us for pulling her out of school a week before the government closed the schools. but it was something that we needed to do, one, to protect our family, but two, because we were studying the enormity of this, and we were trying to be one step ahead of the game. My intuition is very strong, and I remember on I think it was the first Monday in March, I'm not sure what the date was, I messaged my girlfriend, who's been a friend for 40 years, and asked her, is your daughter still in Milan? If she is, she needs to get out now. My friend bought her a one-way ticket back home to Australia on the next flight, and 2 hours after that flight left, Milan closed down. So I have been intuitively guided a lot of the time on the next steps to take. I guided my husband to go out and buy the month's supply of food, not to hoard, but to I knew that I didn't want him leaving the house, because that was what was best for us when there's no backup for anyone else to look after our daughter. Even when I made that call weeks ago, he thought I was overreacting a little, and within a week he had totally changed his perception of what was going on as well. So, not wanting to alarm people, the whole world is in alarm right now, and what I'm wanting to say is, once you take the action, you know, fear is paralyzing. Fear is a low vibration. When you're in fear, you cannot see the solution that can only present itself from a new level, that is a higher level, a higher vibration than where the problem was created. So if you're in fear, you're not going to see the highest possible solutions to help you through this and navigate this journey for you, for your family, for your loved ones. During this time, I've also been doing healing on others as well as collectively as on the planet. I've been definitely feeling the collective fear and energy, and I've been transmuting that as I go. And you know, I'm really called to step up and to be more in service for those who are feeling paralyzed by fear, and to help them move into that higher vibrational state, so that you can see bigger opportunities, bigger solutions, and better outcomes. So I'm going to be posting some more videos on tools that I've used, tips that I've used, but the basic thing is, when we're in fear, it's not helping us. So we need to step out of fear. The opposite of fear is love, but the opposite of fear is also action. When we're in fear, we're often frozen, and so we can't act. When you move forward in action, especially when that action is, one, you put your own oxygen mask on first, with the intention of helping as many others as you can. When you're stepping forward in action, then the fear dissolves, because there is no time, no energy, no space for that fear to exist. There's too much work to be done. There's too many people that need your help. There's too many people that need your guidance and your inspiration. And this is an opportunity for us to step into that being of service to others. You don't have to do that in a face-to-face contact style, but it's an opportunity for you to step up, for one, to remember who you really are, and two, to remember what you came here to do. This is a huge spiritual awakening that we're going through, and yet I'm telling you from my experience, the virus is very real. I do believe that it was a bioweapon that was released in China, but not intended to be released in China. And I believe that the effects of 5G certainly on the immune system wipe your immune system out. And so that's definitely not helping. But you know, people have been telling me that the virus, you know, isn't real, and I'm like, actually, yeah, it is. But it's one small piece of a puzzle. There's a big puzzle that's being put together right now. There's so much more going on behind the scenes, some of which I've been privy to, and it's a huge opportunity to awaken. So when you find yourself in fear, I just want you to take 3 deep breaths. I want you to know that if you can draw a line in the sand and step out of that feeling of fear and into a feeling of asking, how can I serve someone? How can I help someone right now? Who is in need? I've looked after my own needs. I've put my own oxygen mask on. Now I want to go out and help somebody else. In what way can I do this? In a way that's safe, in a way that's keeping within the government guidelines. So find out what you can do to help others, and I'm going to help as many people as I can while I'm separated from my daughter and my husband. I'm going to make sure that this time is well used, well utilized, and that I can help as many people to step out of fear, so that my time away from my daughter is not in vain, and that she knows that her mama is out there making a difference in the world. And you know, we look forward to the time when we'll be reunited through this. Love and blessings to you all, and you know, ask yourself, how can you serve someone today? And it will it's the first step to get out of the stuckness that fear holds you in. My love, light and blessings to you all.